How's it going, everybody? Today we're over here at Silver Arrow Service getting ready to do a rear pinion seal on this 2001 Ford Mustang Cobra. Essentially what we have is on the rear differential. We already kind of cleaned it up a little bit because we replaced the rear diff cover. But you can see right up here, there was a little bit of oil starting to come out of this rear pinion seal. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to remove the drive shaft. There's a big nut in the back here that will take off. Before we take that off though, we're going to use a digital torque wrench and we're going to slowly turn this over by hand to see how much drag there is, so that when we put it back together, we can torque the nut back to the setting it was at, because there's a crush washer in here that if we over crush it, we can actually ruin this rear end. So I'm going to turn it over to Derek here. Derek's going to start disassembly, show you guys how to do this.
How's it going, Derek, Silver Arrow? All right, so we're here doing a pinion on an 01 Mustang Cobra. First what we'll start doing is we'll start taking these triple squares out. We'll remove the drive shaft. We're going to double check the drag on the nut on the pinion so we can reset it for the torque at the end of the job. So we'll go ahead and remove the drive shaft. We'll take the yoke out of it. We'll replace the pinion seal. We'll put everything back together, torque everything back to spec, and we're good to go. All right, now that we've taken the 4 bolts out of it, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna separate the drive shaft from the yoke so we can get to the nut that we need to double check what the torque spec is, so we can set it back to that when we're done. All right, so this is the nut behind the drive shaft that we're gonna double check the torque on to make sure that the proper drag is on it. That way we can reset the drag once we redo the pinion seal and put the yoke back on. What we'll do is go ahead, set up our 3/8 torque wrench right up here, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna give it a spin and see what the drag is. We're at 9.6 Newton meters. So we wanna make sure when we put this back together that we tighten that nut down to 9.6 Newton meters. All right, now we're gonna rip the nut out of it. We're gonna take the yoke out so we can get to the pinion seal.
Essentially, none of the pullers we had were going to work on this, so we're going to use a slide hammer instead. We got the bracket that bolts on either side, and you basically take this big hammer and just pull it back until it comes off, just like that.
So now that we've got the yoke off of it, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna use our seal puller, pull the seal out, replace the seal, and put everything back together. Go ahead and just starting to clean up the area where the seal was, just to make sure that we slide it in very nice, easy. That way we don't have any issues with it leaking. All right, now that we've gone ahead, cleaned up the surface area where the seal is gonna be sitting, we're gonna go ahead, reinstall a new seal. I put a little silicone on the back side of it just to make it a little easier to pop it right in. We're just gonna go ahead and work it all the way around. All right, so we've got it installed. Now we'll put the yoke back in it, set the drag to 9.6 Newton meters, and put the drive shaft in. We're ready to go. All right, so if you ever need your pinion seal replaced, come on down, see the boys. We'll take very good care of you. You need anything else, 603-566-2075, Litchfield, New Hampshire.